What's up, everybody? Bootsy Greenwood here. I want to talk about resolving these opposites. I want to talk about owning yourself fully, being really aligned in purpose and intention in the world, and what that looks like, what that feels like, and how to get there. So I want to talk about really quick, these two things. It's a very subtle, nuanced thing, and one more thing that I stole from Mark Passio. But little capital, not little capital, but little W will, big capital W will. These are different words, okay? And what I want to talk about is how most people who get involved in self-help or waking up or spirituality are mostly concerned with what they can get for themselves. So they might be I don't know, what is it called? A hedonist, and just want to have as much pleasure as they possibly can. Now, is there anything wrong with that? Personally, I don't care. Do whatever you want. For me, it's not very fulfilling. And pleasure and pursuing happiness, fulfillment are two totally different things. You are going to encounter pleasure on that path for sure, but it's not going to be, just all a pleasure cruise either. So, most people, they're like, well, I want a car, I want to get laid. These are the things that matter to me. I want to serve my ego. I want to service my ego. And this is very often a trap, honestly. This is actually, what we would call a pendulum, like the pendulum of the ego, or an egregore, right? An egregore. I don't know how you pronounce that, but I can't not say it with a Slavic accent. But yeah, like some sort of this thing that you're just trying to appease and attain. And it's never fulfilling. It's just constant. You never stop. You're just always thirsty, right? Whereas getting involved in this sort of more big will thing is a little bit more engaging. It feels a little bit better. It's going to be, I think, more rewarding over the long run. So we all have a lot of things that we think we want. I gotta sneeze. Okay. False alarm. We all have things that we think we want. But a lot of these things we don't actually really want ourselves. They're things that we think we want. They think that we think that they would make us happy. They're usually material goods or acknowledgement, other people saying how great we are, awards, things like that. Things that, are sort of vain, to be honest. And I think that's often very much a trap. When we try and align ourselves and the world around us, when we allow the world to be as it is, and look for the truths that are self-evident, okay? Back to natural law. This is how we know things, right? Because we just know. It's self-evident. It's obvious to us. And a lot of us see things very similarly and have these same ideas because I think we have taken the time to sort of listen. And we're not always going to agree. That's not necessarily what I mean. We've been arguing for a long time over what natural law is, but we've stumbled upon, this world that we live in now where natural law is not even something that's ever talked about, nor are we ever concerned with. But the best books, I think, are really about this. Now, big W will is about aligning yourself, right? We want to align ourselves, have our heart and mind together, and that aligns ourselves with the will of creation. That might sound big, and maybe it doesn't need to sound that big, but that's what it feels like to me. It puts us in a position where we ask, what does the world need? Okay, and this is maybe even a step above. So this we would maybe call self-actualization. This is maybe even another step too. And doesn't mean you can't do this now and start providing things for what the world needs. Now, you can already do that. But the point being is that going from here to here, it is it is a development, It's something where you're saying, okay, I don't want to just serve myself anymore. I don't want to just be, me, just getting stuff, manifesting Teslas and, riding on private jets, which there's nothing wrong with any of those things. There's nothing wrong with having money. We all have to have tools to get to the next, it's like a vehicle to get to the next thing that we need to get to, right? So I'm not hating on that. I'm just saying, if you're doing it just to try to fill a hole, it's never going to fill you up. You're just going to always going to feel like something's missing. But whenever we really get to this place and we start to operate, we fall in love with our heart, with our mind, and we start to operate, and our mind starts to work on stuff that it's interested in. Now it opens us up, and we can start to identify needs around us. What does the world need? And then start to provide that. So we figured out who we are and what we can bring to the table, what our gifts are, by uniting heart and mind. And now we can just simply ask, what does the world need? And then at that point, start providing what the world needs lined up with what we can provide, right? And so this is a concept known as outer intention in transurfing, that there is a force or a power that is just basically waiting for you to activate it. And the way you activate it is to ask, what does the world need? What do other people need? And then that force will come to your aid to help you provide whatever that is. Now, and really these don't have so much to do with this, but I do want to touch on this. There's also an overarching script, okay? There's also an overarching script that doesn't care about your well-being or anybody else's, honestly. And so for those of us who we are caught in the law of hypnotic rhythm, right? We don't think for ourselves. We don't act for ourselves. We just go along. We are just making the script more and more, like determined. It's gonna, like, it just automatically is sort of happening. And this is contrary to this outer intention. This is like what in the Outwitting the Devil talks about, this hypnotic rhythm, this cycle that just happens, and there's nothing you can do about it. Whereas this outer intention is more like, I don't know, like Star Wars The Force, right? Like something's got to happen. We have to activate something. We have to put these two forces together and look for the higher love, the higher will. Ask the world what it needs from us and then provide that thing. And then we can alter the script, okay? But the script is like automatic. It's like determinism, okay? It's like I don't want to say we're fighting the script, but we're caught up in the script and we're just kind of like being shoved along into certain places. So what we need to do is we need to alter the script, from our own perspective. And we can do that. We can program, we can influence the script. And this is how to do it, by aligning heart and mind and asking the will of creation, what does it need? Asking the things around us. As we see, look around at nature. Look at the things in nature and emulate that. Because there is a greater awareness than us, okay? Sorry to tell you that, science, but there is a greater awareness than just us as human beings. There's something higher, more powerful out there, some sort of force, some sort of God. I'll call it that. I think that's a fine word to use. And I don't think your, particular flavor on that matters, right? Like you can have whatever freedom of religion that you want, whether that's, Christianity or Muslim or Judaism. It doesn't matter to me. As long as we understand these concepts, honestly, we should kind of be able to just drop that and let people be exactly as they are, because this is not really about one specific idea or belief system or structure. This is really about trying to understand what reality and or nature is, and implementing that into our life, putting us on the highest path that we possibly can so that we know who we are, we're fulfilled, we're whole, and so that we are serving something greater to influence this script that will go along by itself. If we don't do anything, it will. So, this is what each of us as individuals need to do, and we need to make up groups and do whatever we feel inspired to do there. You don't get a desire from the universe for no reason. It's in your heart because, well, the universe wants you to attain that. And honestly, what I've noticed is when I ask this question, instead of when I try to fulfill this, I wind up with a better result than I could have ever asked for. Meaning that even if I'd made this goal and I would have done all this stuff and I would have gotten all the things that I wanted to, then that mission accomplished exactly as I saw it in my head. When I try to aim up here and try to do this will, the will of creation, and use outer intention, well, at that point, now I've found myself in places that I didn't even know existed. I found myself on, a cruise ship doing stand-up comedy with the Impractical Jokers cruise. So, I got to do that. I didn't even know that was possible, right? Like if I could have sat at home and thought about different scenarios and gotten whatever I wanted to. And it would have been okay, but it wouldn't have been as good as that, Because even on top of that, yeah, I got to do that. That's great. But like the people that I met, on that experience on the ship and on is absolutely priceless. Like I have a whole other family as a result of that. Like you couldn't ask for anything better than that. But anyway, so what I'm saying is resolve that heart and mind, own yourself fully, ask the will of creation what it needs, serve it, right? And see what happens, right? It's a lot more fulfilling, in my opinion, than just getting what it is that you want. I've had quite a few different people that I've been with and coached and stuff like that who come to me who are very successful, but they just were missing something and they needed to find something that they could give, something that they wanted to use to improve the world. So if that's a desire that you have, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think that your life will look a lot better if you can implement or if you can find a way to get going down that path and start creating steps to fulfill that, I guess. I don't know. Words are hard. Thanks for watching the video. Check me out on Patreon. Woo.